Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Boomer Base, where our continuing series, the Retrospective, we're looking at the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie today. I am one of your hosts, Ben, and here is Charles. Take it away.
It's definitely as good as I remember it being when I was a kid. I really can't fault it.
I mean, I have to fully agree, but bar some other small bits. But comparing to our last film, Godzilla, I actually quite enjoyed this movie because I don't think I've seen it since either back end of primary school or early secondary school. It has been a good decade plus since I've watched this film, and in all honesty, it holds up completely fine. It's not going to win any awards or anything like that. It is just Power Rangers with a slightly bigger budget in some elements, the movie, which is
Yeah, I mean it's slightly bigger budget in a lot of elements because I don't know if you know, but the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers TV show was, if I remember correctly, all the scenes with the kids were shot at the time with the US actors, and then all the scenes that are actually of the Power Rangers were from some 80s, 70s or 80s TV show in Japan called Super Sentai.
yes, this
And
is one thing.
this film is the first time, I believe, that the actors are there for their non-ranger scenes and when they're actually the rangers. So they have updated costumes, like the new sort of leather-looking costumes with the padding and armor on. They look incredible.
I loved them as a kid. I don't hate the paddedness. It's different. That's all. It's not necessarily any worse, but
I
yes,
like it. I think it looks a lot better than the Lycra. Um,
it,
I just wish the merchandise also had sort of the bulkier, more armored look to it, because I think the merchandise they just continued using the Super Sentai sculpts that they used for the show's toys. Just obviously with the for the like head flippers and stuff, they used the new actors' heads for the non-ranger sides.
the all the males, not to hate on the female, all the males look perfectly fine, but the Aisha and Kimberly, in some of the shots, they just look too goofy in this newer updated costume. They just look too small. Where the helmet is the normal size, but the lower half of the costume just doesn't fit randomly, and I laughed every time they sort of appeared next to everyone. To be fair, but
I
yes,
thought I thought I thought they looked fine. I mean, the thing I did find very funny is just the extra tech they've added onto the suits.
yes,
Like, I have a note. Activating power beam turns on super weak headlamp, and
yes,
then the
that's
Red Ranger
what I
uses
have.
his fucking Power Scope Turbo Threat Scanner Deluxe instead. Anyway,
I know it was so I don't remember that at all. Literally, there is no recollection of them having. Billy had his little floss in a pocket whip line thing to swing across
that
everywhere.
looks absolutely hilarious. You can tell like he was just on like a zip line thing, whatever.
I know, I literally don't recall those at all. But I mean, they were kind of cool. I just assumed that they were some form of extra. Oh, we can do some more toy sets or have some kind of Power Rangers spy kit.
Yeah, but they never actually did any toys for them, weirdly enough.
It's so surprising. I'll just that's from just rewatching it. That's what I could just assume. But the more you say it, the more I don't recall that randomly.
I
I
mean, in because obviously we have the actual actors here now. It did look very funny to me seeing them still having to do the exaggerated like, yeah, come on, guys, and like pumping their fists and like shaking their heads around and stuff because obviously like it was dubbed over before. It's just a very like Japanese dub thing to do. But they just still did it. I had a note down that was I really appreciate the consistency of still having Rita Repulsa being dubbed, even though she's speaking English.
I literally had to Google if it was the same actress, which it is. But I feel like I can see her face, or just more of her face is exposed. Because I was
Well, I
like,
mean,
the
it's.
same
I
one.
mean, I was watching it in HD, so like, yeah, she did look a bit different because I'm so used to watching her in crispy 4:3.
Oof.
But yeah, like you could like see her lips. She was speaking English and she was saying the correct lines, but it was still dubbed over with the American voice actress, which I just found absolutely hilarious. This was an instance where they could have maybe got her to just say her lines, but they still dubbed it over for consistency, I guess.
Having Goldar with a different face just looked kind of naff. I won't lie.
Did he have a different face? I thought
Yeah, he
Goldar looked
had
the same to me.
no, Goldar had it was just a more like pudgier looking face in his like original Mighty Morphin TV show. He had
Was it that his, because I noticed his mouth moves in this. Was it that in the original his mouth just didn't move?
oh that I can't remember, but he had a lot more like wrinkles and line definition in his face, whereas this one kind of felt more like plumped, which didn't look nice. And then they included some random like pig dude for this
With
movie that I
with a
really
little
don't remember even
monocle?
being. I don't remember him even being like a villain sidekick in the TV show at all, but
No, I mean, speaking of villains, Ivan Ooze is incredible. He's still one of my favorite, just dumb villains in films ever. He's just the act. I can't remember who plays him, but you can tell he's loving every minute of screen time. He hams it up so much. I mean, I still have it burned in my head. The line that's just smells like teenagers. Just it's so good. He's so good. Every single line he delivers is just great. He reminds me so much of Skeletor in the 1987, I think it is, Master of the Universe film. He's just very good actor, absolutely hamming it up large on the screen. Love it.
I know, like he. In all fairness, he's quite a formidable villain randomly at the beginning. At least, like he literally shows up, takes a big shit on like Zordon, then like rustles up his jimmies all the way to like Lord Zed and Rita, and sort of like claps them into a Winter Wonderland like globe thing. And he's just now the boss. Like the man's been sat for 6,000 years. In which I was very curious how he randomly knew about the plague and
I
the
did wonder
Brady
that as
Bunch.
well. Possibly he's still like awake inside the ooze and could just hear things going on around him.
Yeah, that's
But
why I
I don't think
assumed.
people walking around during the Black Plague and being like, this sure is the era of the Black Plague.
Oh, what's this egg here? Maybe you're the cause of the plague. But I did hear that the Brady Bunch line was ad-libbed randomly, which was quite funny.
That's quite
But
fun. I've got written down as well. Bulk and Skull are still hilarious. They're just as funny as they are in
yeah,
the show.
like their first scene where they fall down in the parachute had me
Oh
laughing that they
yeah.
just tried. They were faking it till they made it essentially, and it was
It
just
was very funny though when obviously all the parents about to commit mass suicide, and I think it's like all the kids are at the parties, like because we haven't got any parents, we can party and like play with all our ooze all we want. You've just got like all these actual kids, and then grown ass Bulk and Skull there, who like at this point when this film came out must have been in their 30s.
they were just they're troublemakers living their life to the fullest. I mean, the notorious first scene of the skydiving scene, which I found so long, and I feel like
You didn't like
this is
it?
why. No, I felt like it was fun as a kid, but watching this back, it was one of the more negatives for me. It felt so
Oh,
long.
I don't agree. I thought it was great. I don't know. I have a lot of nostalgia for this film, and I still really enjoy it. My daughter likes Power Rangers, and I've watched the film a few times with her. And I mean, I've really struggled to think of anything I don't like about this film. And I don't know. It's comforting watching that. It's just a great like intro to the Rangers. I love that throughout everything, their outfits are always color coordinated,
No, that's
even
one
their
thing.
jumping
How
suits.
does no one know? Like, the title Star Wars scroll text thing was like it's a guarded secret, but they just all wear the same clothes
Well,
that represent their Power
that's
Rangers.
a pretty good point because I don't remember in the show at least people really knowing what the Power Rangers are or that they exist, but they literally say like "Thank you, Power Rangers" on like the
Yeah.
side of a building at the end of this, and like people are like, "Oh my god, Ivan Ooze is destroying Angel Grove. Where are the Power Rangers? Like, how do you know what the Power Rangers are?"
It definitely became more pronounced, at least from like it could have been even in earlier seasons, but definitely up by Space is when like they were like the people that like protected like not Orion, that's the Lost Galaxy, Ventura, I think it's called. It's like a I don't know, it's like a little planet on like a spaceship.
It's been a while for me. Mighty Morphin was like the one that I remember sort of the most about.
Big old
So
Power
saying about that though, even just for that opening crawl, the main point being that like interterrestrial being Zordon comes to Earth specifically to find teenagers.
And it said 6 in the thing, in which it wasn't. It was just
It was
5.
5. The Green Ranger
Five.
got added later, right?
Yeah, and I think that was like I think there are other power coins and whatnot, but
But
Zordon only
yeah,
sought out 5 at the beginning,
but
which
why are so many of these extraterrestrial beings so jazzed about teenagers? Like Zordon specifically came to Earth to find teenagers. As soon as Ivan Ooze wakes up, he smells and he's like, teenagers. Why
teenagers.
is everyone so interested in
I know Ivan's
teenagers?
been saying he's been doing it for this, like since he's been locked up. So Zordon's just been, mass grabbing teenagers to do his like dirty work.
Also, I just can't imagine what, um, like, because going back to like the Black Plague, like Middle Ages era teenagers, what did they look like? Were they
Yeah,
these sort of noble martial art masters, or were they just sickly children?
to be fair, he might not even have been children on Earth for all we know. Like, I don't know if Zordon has been inhabiting Earth for this long, as the what the heck is her name? The one that begins with the D, the something or other.
Dulcia,
Yes,
the very hot alien warrior lady.
the Red Sonja of
Yes,
Power Rangers,
she
pretty
is
much.
100% supposed to be Red Sonja.
Like that was on a different planet and whatnot. So Zordon might not necessarily have been from this. Like I know he's not on this planet, but he might not have been like doing his stuff on Earth for all this time. Has he at least been doing it on Earth for 2,000 years? Unless he moved Ivan Ooze, because Ivan, I can't believe Lord Zed. He said in the beginning he's been searching for 2,000 years, but I just couldn't imagine why Rita couldn't use some form of like search spell, like insert where is Ivan track, please.
Yeah, I did kind of like as well that they're like, oh my god, it's Ivan Ooze, you're like the best at being evil, and then like the Rangers get away, and then Rita's just like, you fucking shit, Ivan. I thought you were gonna be able to fuck up the Power Rangers, and you let them get away, you absolute dweeb.
And they're rooting for the Rangers in the end, which is quite funny as
Yeah,
well.
I did think that was quite funny.
My second literal piece of text on my notes is literally God, Kimberly is so hot. And wow, she was without a doubt my first crush as a child.
She was one of my first crushes, but I do think in this film, Dulcie is so much hotter. I don't know. That's my adult eyes. As a kid,
I,
Kimberly, 100%, but as an
I'm still
adult,
with
Dulcia.
Kimberly. Team Kimberly for the win. Those pink shorts ruffle my jimmies. She's just too cute in all the right ways.
Yeah. I mean, covering a few more of my notes here. This is some of the just fashion in this is very 90s. I mean, the completely out of nowhere rollerblading scene at the beginning, after we've already had our eyes assaulted by very colorful skydiving, we immediately get just 90s rollerblading.
I know, like there's literally after the such a long skydiving scene for me personally, it was just then into rollerblading, and then just you hear like a bit bit bit. Oh no, that's the Kim Possible tune, but
It's not
the
far off
more
though.
the morpher rings, then it's just all like stop. Let's go here. What's up, Zordon? And then that's just it. Like I felt like we just didn't need to like it could have like rang randomly after they like landed, and the introduction to
Yeah.
like Fred really didn't need to be in this film at all. Like the little kid,
How dare you?
like
I
didn't.
like the kid.
I mean, he was
He did need
cool.
to be in the film because he needed to save the parents. Also,
Who
he
assault a
mentioned.
bunch of kids with a hose that definitely should have been like hurting them horribly
Oh
with
yeah,
no matter.
that also didn't work. It was just a coincidence that as he was doing that, the Rangers killed Ivan, and that ended the brain control. At least that's the
Right.
way I read it. At least.
Yep.
Also, he mentions at the end of the film, like, "Hey, I hear you're lined up to be a Power Ranger," and he's like, "Yeah, Fred, the Silver Ranger, or maybe the
Oh.
Gold Ranger." Does that become a thing?
No, I did Google that afterwards because I was like, I don't recall anyone being like called Fred because I know in the Power Rangers SPD, one of the kids that the Yellow Ranger saves is the Omega Ranger that comes later on in the show. So I was like, oh, is it one of these sorts of things? Or, but I don't know if they were sort of like alluding to Jason coming back in like Zeo as the Gold Ranger, maybe. But
Maybe.
maybe it just didn't fly because I know with this film, it's not canon. The Turbo movie, on the other hand, is canon, in which it's quite because that's what's so weird is they don't get their Ninja Zords till a lot later in the show. But by the time that this film's almost set, it's set somewhere after the original Red, Black, and Yellow Ranger leave, and Rocky, Adam, and Aisha come in. But
Saying about Black and Yellow Ranger. I'm sure people have seen the memes online about the fact that the Black Ranger is a black guy and the Yellow Ranger is a Asian lady in the original show. They didn't try very hard to get away from that in this, did they? They just swapped them.
flipped it about. Like Adam does go on to become quite like an important ranger, even as the series continues throughout many different iterations of the Power Rangers, which is nice. Like he still comes back. Like I think it's in like Jungle Fury or something, and that's like 2013, which is quite cool. Aisha, you don't really see, but the nice thing that I love with Power Rangers, even to this day, is that they still attend like the Comic-Con convention things. Like loads of them
Oh yeah,
still do that, and there's such a big family for that, which for
it's
me,
it's such a
Pokemon and Power Rangers is my bread and butter.
it's such a shame that Jason David Frank, um, bless him, isn't with us anymore because he was, as far as I know, he was one of the sort of most committed members of like the Power Rangers community, and he
Mhm.
went to like every Comic Con and loved engaging with the fans. It's so sad that he's left us, unfortunately.
I know it's deeply saddening, and I'm happy that it wasn't just one of those like not sweep under the rug, but I saw a lot of it on social media, even though I don't really like follow much Power
Yeah,
Rangers
there
things.
was a
It was
lot
good to
of there
see
was a
that.
lot of Power Rangers fans like dedicating things to him, and like a lot of people dressing up as the White and Green Ranger and stuff, and it was very nice.
He definitely has some of the, if not the most iconic roles in Power Rangers. As when I
For
watched
sure.
Dino Thunder for the first time and he was in there, I was like, oh God, please tell me he is still called Tommy. And when he was still called Tommy, oh, I
Hell
was
yeah.
completely
And when
beside myself.
when he becomes like the evil Green Ranger and like is giving the Power Rangers the business, that was always really goddamn cool.
Yep, I've always wanted a dagger that plays that like tune to summon my, kaiju monster out of the
Dragon
sea.
Zord.
And he got some. Yeah, to be fair, he like all his Zords are like all solo Zords randomly. Like he has the Dragon Zord, the White Tiger Zord. And then in Dino Thunder at least, he's got like the Brachiosaurus Zord, which is just some like giant ass thing.
Yeah.
And they're all really cool Zords. Like his solo Zords for the Ninja Zord, like the Falcon Zord, is fine, I guess. But
Yeah. So we've got to talk about all of the fight scenes really, but mainly the one on the construction site with the creepiest fuck ooze people.
yes, they were
Um,
so like they looked horrifying, especially when they went into like
Terrifying.
the underground bit, like some of the bits where their heads were popping up. I was like, Christ, like
The
that's
bit
creepy.
where two of the Rangers do like a flying kick into each side of its head and it squishes it,
Yep,
terrifying.
that was like some
So
Roger
fucking
Rabbit
freaky.
like stuff.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about that, just the insane amount of sound effects in all of this, just the like, and then just the like doing when like things fall, like the goo people fall on the floor and stuff. It's so over the top that you would think it would get annoying, but it's so weirdly endearing. I
Yeah,
really
it,
like
it,
it.
it fits. It fits because it's literally just Power Rangers, and the construction site bit was. I've been making sure I keep notes of this. Like that was like 16 minutes in, where like the first fight's starting, and for the love of Christmas pudding, Tommy actually grabs a weapon. In which you see that in so
Yes.
many things where no one grabs a flipping weapon. Like the man picks up something and is ready to like bash some heads in. There was some common sense, which like
Speaking of Tommy, I have in my notes somewhere. I mean, I put so many flips,
yes, I'm literally
and
looking at a line that says so many backflips.
but also like the other ones vaguely subscribe to physics. Tommy, at one point in that fight in the construction site, he does like a corkscrew jump upwards and I guess spins so hard he generates lift
Yep, and he
because he
flies
just
up.
flies away.
Yep, don't forget his at the Ninjetti temple where he does the wait. If I scroll, I think I should find it. He literally Ninjetti corkscrew kick where he just flies as a spinning like torpedo into one of the temple guardian things like that.
Yeah,
Ninjetti, that was another thing. The skydiving, the fact that it was called Ninjetti. Fred, I don't necessarily hate, but I just feel like that whole bit could have been taken out and it would have been much better.
I like the ninja bit. I thought the ninja bit was really cool.
Ninjas was cool, yes, but the wording Ninjetti
Oh, that didn't even register in my brain, to be honest. I was
and
just like,
then just the
"Heh,
Zords
cool
at the
ninja
end.
people."
Oh, the Zords just did not look cool at all. Like if
No,
you took
I have notes about this. So one thing I've always wondered is the Black Ranger a frog because they couldn't think of an animal to make the legs on the Megazord, especially for like merchandising. That's one of my working theories. Also, they're all so fucking goofy and have like no practical combat purposes.
Other than
Um,
the gorilla or the ape thing,
yeah, apart
like
from the gorilla, but all he does is just piggyback on the big beetle man, and then does nothing.
I mean, I did like that it wasn't just straight into boom, let's make the Megazord, because it was quite reminiscent of the very beginning of Mighty Morphin when they kind of like
Yeah.
used their individual Zords, which was quite nice. Although they literally did nothing, but
On the topic of Zords, one thing I think actually probably one of the few negatives I have for this film, and as I was watching it, I was really trying to sort of make up my mind whether I liked it or not. I think they should have stuck with people in big suits for the
sure.
for the Zords and for the weird monster things. The CGI doesn't look horrible for the time. For a low budget kids sort of TV movie, it's okay, but they're so shiny.
Yes, it is definitely one of the worst parts of the film. Like the film had a budget of 20 million, which is a lot, and it did actually triple in like its box office thing to like just shy of 70 like million, which I mean is fine for a Power Rangers movie, I guess. Like, Power Rangers isn't everyone's bread and butter. It's pretty much just targeting like kids randomly. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's still like okay. It's not a complete disaster randomly,
the
and
the I mean, saying about like the Megazords that like should have been suits and stuff. The bit where Ivan Ooze stretches his face and then like attaches himself to the big beetle monster thing, terrifying. Also, like just the giant Ivan Ooze, absolutely just horrifying as a child and as an adult. When they're in space and they're like looking through the cockpit and they can just see his eyes, and he's like, "Have you hugged your Zords today?" It's just fucking terrifying.
oh, that just I literally have a note. There's one of my just I think it's like five from the bottom notes where it's literally just the main plan to defeat Ivan, and all they can think of is a comet.
Oh,
But I have no idea how they know about
yeah,
the
I made a
comet.
comment about this. My my note is literally Ryan's comet. Where the fuck did that come from?
Yep, just a complete left field, and just even talking like so. Literally, my notes go. At least Ivan and Goldar both think Kimberly is cute as well. I was like, yes, Team Kimberly. And then my next one is like, Kimberly, use your thrusters, says Aisha. Like she knows how to pilot the freaking, Zord that she's never like. She's literally just had 5 minutes, and it's not even her Zord. Like, how does she be
I
like,
mean,
yo,
my
Kimberly, your thrusters, and let's get a move on.
my five notes in this section are: Ivan stretching is terrifying. That's brilliant. Hand thrust. Ryan's comet. Where the fuck did that come from? An emergency nut shot button.
For emergency use only, a button to kick someone in the crotch.
That was so fucking funny to me. Like, it's also when she smashes the glass, she 100% presses the button.
No, it like that was just like the comedy that I think like for me watching it after so long, it was okay, but I think that would be more one of the dumber things that people would find now.
I still find it absolutely
It,
fucking
it, it made me
hilarious.
chuckle because I had forgot that was a thing, so it was like good on the like surface level for me. But a bit of trivia for the suit part at least for you is that in the original script they were supposed to fight giant rat monsters that Ivan Ooze created, but apparently the suits didn't work well enough and looked too low budget for the movie, so they were replaced by
Is
Ivan
is
Ooze.
I was gonna say, is that in place of the Tengu or the ooze people?
Yes, they were supposed to have like giant rat things, but those rat suits were later used in the Return of the Green Ranger in the TV show, which was nice. So they didn't
Oh,
go
that's
to
pretty
waste,
cool.
but they were supposed to be fighting not like Earth's Defense Force looking bugs. But I mean, for me, it's definitely one of the biggest negatives when we've just watched like Godzilla and then we have these because the Ninja Zord, in the TV show looks like fire. It looks cool. It's a Zord, but in
I
this film,
I
it just
had
looks
the toy.
diabolical.
I had the toy of the Ninja Zord from this film, and the head looks nothing like the one in the film. The film looks terrible.
The film looks awful for the Ninja Megazord because I've got, shown my love of Power Rangers. I put literally, sadly, the Ninja Megazord in this and just in the TV show is my least favorite compared to just the Megazord, the Thunder Megazord, and the Shogun Megazord. Now, I had all the toys for all of these,
I will
but
I will say at least Kimberly Zord does something in this one. instead of
Yes, yeah.
instead of just stapling itself onto the chest for no reason.
Yeah, or becoming like a shield sometimes. But hey,
Um,
the Shogun Megazord for me is my favorite. Which for people that don't know what it is, I might ping a picture up. But it was in terms of Zords, like you could put the Megazord, the Thunder Megazord, and probably the Ninja Megazord all on top of each other, and you probably wouldn't get the height of the Shogun Megazord. Like that thing
yeah, I
was
do
a
remember that one
Giga
being
Dragon
really fucking
Megazord.
cool.
And the toys were like each of the robots that made up the Zord in itself were like already nearly like Zord height in general. They were massive, but I mean, it
One
is
one
what it is.
other one other note I've got here is go commit mass suicide, lol.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Literally, with the whole ooze thing, like he hands them out to a bunch of kids, and then suddenly, why is there so many adults and like adult family
Yeah,
members
I
just
I made
messing
that
with
note
their kid's ooze?
because Fred's dad just happens to come home and find it on the side and touch it and then goes outside. And as he goes outside, suddenly fucking every other parent
Everybody.
in the neighborhood also comes out. Like, are you sure they weren't already being mind controlled? Because like that's such a weird timing. I know it just makes for a good shot, I suppose, but it's just a bit odd.
I know, and
Also,
it's
I made a note as well, like sort of later on, when the kids are all like messing around while the parents are about to fucking commit mass suicide, of just what the fuck are the kids doing with the ooze? Because there's like some kids that are like just playing with it, and then there's like one kid that's putting it in like a fondue, and then like some that are like mixing it into like drinks and stuff. Like, what the fuck are you kids doing with it?
weird shit. Like for me, if Ivan has such a Jimmy Ruffling with teenagers, why does he not? Like, surely the things to purge would be the kids that become teenagers rather than the
Yes.
people past their prime and in their white collar jobs that aren't going to be crime fighting Power Rangers.
It's, I mean, it's just I've got a note that says like it really hits all the tropes of the time. I mean, we have ooze being a major thing in it. You know, we had like TMNT 2 Secret of the Ooze. We had like Ghostbusters 2 that was all about ooze as well, and then this is all about ooze. And then like I think it was another big thing at the time to like have kids in some way rebelling against their parents or something happening to their parents. I remember like the Jimmy Neutron film when like all the
Yep.
parents get abducted and made to do the chicken dance and stuff like that. Like it was very much a trope at the time, and they make damn sure they cover every single trend at the time. I feel.
Yes, most definitely. Ooze was very big, I think, back in those times. I think it's just like a toy to play with randomly, and just ooze was, I think, quite cheap to make, I think, as
Yes, that
well.
was a really good point because that was another thing as well. Like the first kid that touches the ooze is like, ew, gross. Like, no, it was a massive toy at the time. Kids fucking loved ooze. No kid would be going, ew,
Yep, those
gross.
aliens and eggs, boom, full of ooze. Used to
Yeah,
throw that
they
stuff on the
did.
wall.
Wasn't there something about like if you left it in the egg or like in the ooze or something, it would get pregnant and give birth to another one? That was like the
Yes, I
rumor.
do remember that rumor that went around, but never. I think there was like one person at our school randomly had like a baby inside a baby, or the baby inside the alien.
Yeah.
But other than
Um,
that, it was just this didn't happen at all.
Scrolling through more of my notes, I just saw one that just says Dingle Dorks.
Like it. To be fair, thinking about how bad the CGI was, the dinosaur
Yes, I made.
CGI that actually looked
There is
okay.
no dinosaur CGI. It's all practical.
No, some of it when they do the wider shot definitely
No,
isn't.
it's not CGI. They undercrank the camera to make it look a bit faster. It is all practical.
Okay, because it definitely came across as like there was definitely something physical when you had Tommy riding it,
Yeah,
but in some of the
every
scenes
scene
it
you can
definitely
you
looked.
can definitely tell when it's like running that it's suspended. It is entirely practical, and I love
It's
that.
even
It's
cooler
very
to be fair.
it's a very cool scene. Super unnecessary, I feel, but really cool.
Yeah, it's just a nice
I
little
was
like
gonna.
side villain to like beat essentially to get their ninjetti powers.
Yeah,
But
I also I thought that the Stone Guardians, I thought they were really cool as well.
yeah, they looked really cool to be fair. I was quite happy that there was more than just like one because I was like, no way, this random just like stone like temple geese is going to be able to take on like 5 Power Rangers. But no, four came up and they were
And
doing the business for a little bit.
the creative solutions to getting rid of them all, apart from the one that just falls in water and just like disintegrates. I thought that was a bit lazy, but the other ones like they were all really cool. Also, I feel so sorry for the guy in the suit, for the one that had the boulders dropped on him. I know it was probably just the empty carcass of the suit when the boulders are falling on it, but like man looks seriously injured.
Had one of the best quotes in the entire film. Let's rock his world as they literally drop a boulder onto him.
Yep.
I mean, that's one of the more, for me, at least the redeeming part of this film. Like this film, all of its cheesy one-liners, they hit home every time. I was
They're
laughing.
so bad, but they're so good.
Talk
They
about a
work
splitting
so well.
headache as he literally gets cut in half. I was howling every time one of those. Billy was chucking out those one-liners
Yeah,
every chance he got.
Billy was on it.
He was like, which actually, to be fair, leads me into my next thing. The original cast members were supposed to be in this film, like Jason,
I did wonder where Jason
not
was.
Rocky, Zach and Trini. They were all supposed to be in this film, but I don't.
Trini had died at this point, though, hadn't she? Like the actress.
Yes, I think so. But they were supposed to have been in the film. I think their intention was to have had them in the film, from what I can remember at the time. I think that's why they brought Jason back for the Turbo film, at least.
That
Because I
makes
think
sense.
I think from reading, they had shot some scenes with them for this film, but I think it was due to the reason that some of them had to leave, that it just ended up not being used. Because for me, the Rocky, Aisha, and Adam, they felt like such like a back seat. Like when Jason was the Red Ranger, at least kind of felt like,
He was the
we're
leader.
co-parents, we're Jason and Tommy, we're the kick-ass people. I'm the Red Ranger. I'm tough, but Rocky just did not
Yeah,
do much at all.
I agree. I have 2 points I really want to make about this film, and that were the main reason I wanted to do this film and talk about it. So during the construction site fight, there is a point where there are a bunch of the goo people stood underneath a container, and Tommy throws his sword and it like spins through the air towards the rope that's holding it up, and you think it's just going to continue on its path and cut through it. It fucking stops midair and goes upright, and then like the eyes on the hilt shoot lasers out to cut the rope. It's so fucking extra and unnecessary, and it makes me absolutely howl every single time I see it. It's so fucking funny. They could have just had it so he just throws the sword through it, but no, they had to make it stop and shoot fucking lasers out of its eyes. The dumbest thing ever. I love it so much. It's one of the things that just sticks in my brain about the film.
They literally could have just like Tommy could have busted him out at any point in the fight to be like, look, pal, you go float, you start shooting laser beams, check out some of these things that we're like having a bit of trouble with, but not like beat to a pulp trouble. Like he could have joined the fight randomly as like an extra ranger almost. But yes, all the scenes that are hilarious aren't too cheesy that I start cringing, which is something
No,
that
I
I
mean
quite like.
the other one that I wanted to mention will never not be funny to me is when they're getting their animals, and it's like Red Ranger, you're the ape because you're intelligent and strong, and Kimberly, you're the crane because you're wise and soar above the competition or whatever. And then like I don't know, fucking Billy, you're the wolf because you're amazing and got a massive dick. And then it gets to the fucking Black Ranger. It's just I'm a frog. Yeah, like the one that you kiss. Doesn't even explain it, and then just swiftly moves on.
That's also quite interesting for you as well to know, is that was also ad-libbed in the film. And the guy that played Adam was just like, you need to keep this in the film.
I agree with him. Because like yeah, she's just like the one that you kiss. And then just moves on. Doesn't even explain
That's
like
it.
why he gets to be a frog. And like the bit in the fight in Angel Grove where he's just like, hey, I didn't know it was pick on the frog day. Like that man is bitter about being a frog.
And the frog to me wasn't even like, I'd rather be the frog than the freaking like bird. Like
Yeah, I mean
the frog
Kimberly
could
will
be
always get
bouncing
the short
everywhere.
end of the stick.
Yeah, she definitely felt like the damsel in distress. Like at some point she was just like, whimpering and running away, and then there's that one scene with the crows where she
Oh,
literally
the
like
Tengu.
screams Tommy.
I did have a note that just says Ivan Ooze summons Japanese mythology. Because at first I thought it was a reference to the Blue Meanies from The Wizard of Oz, and then when he called them Tengus, it clicked, and I was like, "Oh yeah," because they're literally Tengu warriors. So he just summons Japanese mythology, apparently.
Oh, that's quite cool to be fair. Like, because from doing some extra background things, I found out that like I can't pronounce her name at all. Just please say her name for me, the one that you found very attractive.
Dulcia.
She had a backstory that was scripted for this film, but it was cut. And essentially, her character was supposed to be the sole survivor of an alien race named the, oh god, Nephadians, as it was her race that created the power of the Ninjeti stored in the Ninjeti temple, in which her character also explained that she was a member of the Order of the Maladin, a group of young warriors that defeated and imprisoned Ivanus on Earth, and that her friend
They should
Zordon was a
have.
member of that order.
One of my notes does actually say like super hot space lady needs her own film. Because like the planet was really, when they first get there and they find that like weird horned skeleton, I thought like that's fucking sick. And then like you see her and she's just so cool and interesting. Like I'd love just a film just about her
She's just so cool, interesting, and hardly
and
clothed.
hot.
Because I started thinking about the newer Power Rangers movie where like you saw Rita and you saw that Zordon was a ranger. So like I could honestly imagine that like if they ever did a Power Rangers movie 2 for this new reboot, that like the lady that begins with a D could come in as like I can picture her being like the Yellow Ranger randomly. Like she could have been
Yeah.
one of those like old Rangers, because like the Power Ranger comic books as a whole, there's loads. Like I randomly thought we'd randomly gone to a different place and that horned person was like a fallen ranger randomly. Because like the Morphin grid has so many different. It started giving me like the Alien Rangers from the Mighty Morphin show. It started giving me flashbacks for them. To be fair, and I was like, oh, maybe it's a fallen ranger.
Yeah. So to summarize, in my opinion, at least, the film is great. It totally, I wouldn't say holds up, just purely because of how weird the machines and everything look at the end of the film. But as far as just it being entertaining, it's like a 9 out of 10 to me. I can watch this film over and over and over again. It will never not be fun to me.
And it was quite short. It was definitely, I think it was like 20-30 minutes shorter than Godzilla, which definitely
I mean, we can't compare everything to Godzilla.
Well, Godzilla's the starting point. If
That's
people are
true.
listening, for me, I'm going to refer to that. This Godzilla's the starting point.
Godzilla is the nexus of all of Ben's movie opinions.
Exactly. Like this for me, like you said, I wouldn't put it as like a 9 out of 10 because my film rating, I'm too like literal with it. I would honestly give this a comfortable like 6 to 6.5 out of 10 for like
Brutal. I am.
That's good for this, in all honesty. Like when you start getting into the 8s and plus, we're talking like critically acclaimed films or like some of my wholly favorite films, even if they actually aren't that good.
I see this as more sort of the way I view sort of rating systems in as far as the way I sort of do them is this a film that I enjoy from start to finish and would be happy rewatching over and over again. And as far as that's concerned, 9 out of 10 for me. Like this isn't gonna win any awards or move people to tears, but as something that is thoroughly enjoyable start to finish, 9 out of 10 easily, or an 8 out of 10 if you want to sort of reserve 9 out of 10 for like masterpieces. 8 or 9 out of 10 definitely.
Nearly moved me to tears a couple times with some of the one-liners. To be fair, because I was cackling for that. To be fair, but yeah, no, it exceeded my expectations. To be fair, which was quite nice. Like I had vivid memories of the Godzilla film, in which I could kind of remember what the entire plot is. But I knew that Ivan Ooze was in it in the villain, but I couldn't remember a lot of this film at all, and that made that much better.
Mean, in as far as the sort of aim of this series to be seeing if it's just nostalgia that makes us enjoy these films, I think just objectively, still, this is like an 8 or 9 out of 10 to me. Even if I had never watched it when I was a kid, I would have still enjoyed it just as much. The sort of the nostalgia that I have for it, it doesn't really come into my opinion, to be honest. It is just objectively a fun film.
It is the updated morph sequence for the film.
I've got to admit, I have a note that just says it's morphing time. Let's fucking go. But then when you see not Jason morphing, he's just like, it's morphing time. T-Rex, and he looks like a middle-aged man like posing for his Facebook profile picture.
It's fully agree.
And then a super jazzed pose when he's actually in the suit.
Yep, that man, he definitely got better with the TV show, to be fair. I will give it to Rocky's actor. He does get better, but in this film, the new 3 took a backseat other than Adam, but they are relatively enjoyable to watch in the TV show. What I did notice from looking is that this film is directed by Brian Slicer, and this is his actual first film credit.
He did a good job in as far as short composition and everything.
film that he directed, which was quite cool. Like, other than that, I think he's done maybe like one or two other just random films. But other than that, he's your I'm gonna do one episode or two episodes of like every TV show under the sun. Like, he's done like Castle, a couple of the different CSIs, Prison Break, X Files, Heroes, and
I thought I recognized his name.
one of the most underrated TV shows, Terminator: Sarah Connor Chronicles, for you Terminator fans out there.
Yes, absolutely love that show.
But no, like, as far as episode 2 in this series of looking at films, it was a winner for me, at least. So,
I agree. I can't think of anything else to add, really.
yeah, no. So just for those that listen, thank you for joining in. And if you're via the YouTube bit, just chuck us a like, drop a comment, tell us what you thought if you watched the Power Rangers film as a kid or even recently, and whether this has inspired you to watch the Power Rangers film again, as I think this is definitely one that can just be enjoyed randomly.
And if you have any fun points or anecdotes about watching the film that you want to share with us, just drop them in the comments for us.
Yes, we love community engagement, and we strive for more of that. So thank you for watching, and just take care, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Catch you later, guys. Bye.